Hi there, and welcome to our next evaluation task. My name is Tom Royston, and we're going to have a look today at some of the similar and typically contrasted magazine covers and film posters in this particular one, in comparison to our own product. So initially, we're going to take a look at this first film poster from Charlie St. Cloud. See, the film itself has quite a similar kind of storyline, like the almost like the afterlife in terms of what's happened after a strong relationship. You've got on the film poster itself, you've got the picture of the selling point of the film being the male role character, which is Zac Efron, and his name is actually across the middle of the poster itself, which really shows the selling point. Then you've got the picture of him right at the top, which again just almost asserts his role in the film. The picture itself is a very strong image in such a way that he's looking up as if it's like towards the clouds kind of thing. Quite an interesting point about this film is the fact that, which I hadn't taken into consideration for our own film, the film itself isn't about the love that he finds after his brother has passed away. The film is actually about his brother being there to help him, and I think that if I had taken this into consideration to our own film, the poster, the magazine cover, it would have all been entirely different, because the film itself, the way that I've my perspective of the film is that the relationship between the male and female characters is the predominant role for the film, which isn't entirely true. So if you take this Charlie St. Cloud film poster for example, you've got the picture, it's strong, the top half of the image is just the main actor, so you immediately see that he is this focus, he is the focus of the entire film. It's all about him. Then in the second half, then this bottom half, which is it almost like a gradient opacity, like fade into the bottom image, is actually him and his brother. So the picture of Zac Efron is at the top of the poster, and then you've got this other part at the bottom. So you can see it's like a gradient, but the way he's looking up is like it suits the names cloud, heaven. It's almost immediately just linked to this. Our film poster is very contrasting from this. The way that, firstly, our poster is quite different in the way that it's landscape. So you don't get many posters that are actually made in landscape anymore, unless it's made on a gross proportion. So the poster itself is immediately different, but you can see here that it almost has no similarities to this poster whatsoever. The colours are entirely different. There are no pinks in this whatsoever. This pink does not even come into it. There are shades, tones of white, slight tones of white. Otherwise, it's just the main actor that's involved, really. But the tagline "Life is for living" almost suggests that his life will continue to live after his brother has passed on. So I think it's an excellent example for a for a film poster in such a way that it's striking, and it really does work, in my opinion. The use of like the way that the actor's looking up towards the sky, all these kind of things work. But that's quite a different poster that you actually tend to see here. I wish to continue the aspect of film posters in comparison to our own. So I'm going to take a look at the film The Notebook. Now, The Notebook is any sad romance film, really. It's especially sad in terms of the depressing elements of the film. I don't want to give the film away too much, but there are elements of the film that are particularly sad. That also has a link to our own film. The aspects of sadness, depression, loneliness, all these things do come into play in our film as well as this film. So the film poster is It's more similar to our film poster in the way that there's a male and a female character interacting. This is quite similar to our poster in terms of the kissing moment, but it is quite a romantic gesture in order to hold them like this. And yeah, the rainfall, the wet, almost see-through T-shirt. It's all to do with like the romance genre and the way that the male role is portrayed. The female character, you can see a face, you can see the side of a face. You can't see too much of each character, which almost could be a clear indication that they are maybe hiding a certain part of themselves away. Maybe, but the bright blue sky and the rain almost is like a contradictory thing. You can't see any dark like evil clouds, which are immediately give a denotation of evil and darkness and all these kind of things. But there is bright blue sky, yet rain. So you can draw your own opinions on that, but our poster itself is quite similar in terms of the composition of the models. But once more, our poster is landscape, but the title takes almost like the second role after the actors. The actors picture themselves. The actors' names, there's quite a few big names, there's quite a few names, which is unlike a romance film. Usually you'd have 1 name, 2 names, 3 names at the most. Here you have 7 names, which is almost unique in such a way that Love Actually is quite similar to this. There are lots of big names, or lots of names here, for example, that aren't immediately recognisable, but they make the film all 7 of them, rather than being 2 main roles. So The Notebook is, again, a good example for a romance film, but maybe not in such a way that it's massively similar to our own. Another film poster we're going to look at is The Vow. I mean, this film is especially romantic. It's sad, it's quirky, it's got all the elements you would really expect from a romance film, and it has 2 massive names from the film. You've got Channing Tatum, which is is the lover boy for all romance films over the past few years. Dear John, The Vow, 21 Jump Street to a certain extent. They've all got elements of romance in them, but he does cover a broad range of romance films by not changing his character. They will enter the film with an expectation that he will take on a similar role from the previous film. You look at the film of Dear John and the role he plays in that. He is the male eye candy to a certain extent. He is the upsetter, but he is the person being upset at the same time. He has to go away, so he's almost upsetting himself in a way, but she's upsetting him by not being able to go with him. So you take into the consideration of The Vow, for example. You've got the accident takes place, she forgets her memory altogether, he becomes upset, and as female viewers want to see a sad male character, because immediate connotation of the depression, sadness is vulnerability, which means that almost an active viewer of media will immediately interact with this character and believe that if this is a reality, they could almost have a chance with this character, that he's available now. So they make this connection with him, they sympathise, they empathise, they really want to be part of this character's life. So they understand him a little more. But back to the film poster itself, you can see here that it's quite square on, which is different. But you've got this poster itself is quite similar to The Notebook, but in terms of our poster, the interaction's quite the same. But the focus is once more on the actors themselves. They are the selling point for this film. They are big names. So the names are right at the top. They are in almost quite a tanned font, so it's quite a neutral colour, which makes it quite difficult to distinguish between certain colours like cream, white and greys. But the poster itself it's striking in such a way that it's softly lit, it's softly, the light in the background, it's all natural, everything's natural about this poster, so you can immediately understand the situation, but you don't get a sense of the storyline from this poster in my opinion, which is quite similar to our own. The tagline, it's just inspired by true events, so people almost believe it's going to have a selling point to film, which is right. It's quite a unique film, but in our own way as well, it is quite different. Our film is, so we don't want to give too much of the story. Just on the poster, you want to invite them in and make them watch this trailer, which I think is something that The Vow does very successfully, in the way that the lighting is key, the position of the models is key, the way that the models are looking at each other is key. Everything about that poster is really just part of the selling point for the film, because every single element of the poster must be taken into consideration. Just trying to figure out what's the film's going to be all about, because the poster is supposed to sell a little bit of the film without letting too much on. So finally, I'm going to take a look at the only landscape poster for a romance film that I actually came across, which is for P.S. I Love You. And initially, our film came from this idea. The development of the film was initially from this. The being left behind is the initial thing you got to get to grip with, which is what happens in this film, and he leaves behind this trail of letters, all these things that she then has to sort the rest of her life out by herself, but by doing this she never takes her mind off who was really there, which is very, very similar to our own film. The poster again itself, go back to that, it's good because you've got the writing is P.S. I Love You in a font which has been written, which is something you'd expect from the typography of the name of the film, P.S. being immediately represented as being part of a letter, all those kind of things. So you'd expect it to be some sort of calligraphy, something along those lines where it's looked like it's been written or scrawled. So you look at the poster itself, the red colours interact with the red that you've got from the actual font itself, and the interaction of the two is also very key. Gerard Butler is again a male role, which is a selling part of the film. The interacting, the subtlety of the letter in the back pocket to a certain extent is almost like a hint towards the film, which is quite subtle, but it's also it's very clever. So you've just got to look at the way that the two interacting, the way that he looks at her in terms of admiration, lust in a way, but the way that she's hugging him back, cuddling him back, is all some sort of equilibrium between the two. They understand each other. This is what they want. So this is actually the poster that I based our poster upon. Our poster itself, if I was to change it, I'd definitely make the characters a lot bigger. They'd almost fit the entire right hand side, because I think what we've done here is the models are a little bit too small. I did initially want to include the dead sister in the background, which would make it a little bit more striking. But I mean, in terms of this post here, it matches it so much better than I believe ours does ourselves. So all in all, our poster has certain similarities to other posters, and it also has many differences. I wanted to make a unique landscape poster. I think that to fit the building block on that, it makes it a little bit more easier, but also I think that it really is essential to make your film as unique as you possibly can. So that's my thinking behind our film poster. I thank you for listening. I've been Tom Royston. Thanks.